All right, Big Bang. Today is Thursday. It's June 1st. Welcome to the Dog Walk presented by Barstool Sports. We're doing a classic movie first-time watch. I'm joined by White Sox Dave and Captain Cons and Chief, who has already seen this movie, but it's one of your favorite movies, so it's like, all right, might as well invite an expert on if that's the case. We did Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark. Mm-hmm. And my first time, Cons' first time. Dave, like you said, you saw pieces, but I don't know.
I saw it start to finish. I remember watching it with my dad, but I was so young that it might as well be my first time. Right. Yeah. I remembered parts. They came back once I saw it, but I couldn't have told you the plot.
I watched Raiders of the Lost Ark and Holy Grail, which is 1 and 3 in the series, over the weekend, just because I like it.
Last Crusade is 3.
Well, it's the Last Crusade. Yeah.
Really?
They're searching for the Holy Grail.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, are you mixing up Monty Python?
No. Well, I might have actually got my wires crossed on that, but they were searching for the Holy Grail in the Last Crusade. Yes. Okay.
Cons, welcome, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I was excited to watch this one. Obviously, Steven Spielberg, George Lucas, two of the all-time greats. So I knew it was a good one, just escaped me.
John Williams.
Growing up. Oh, yeah, John Williams with the music for sure. And then, you know, it's one of those movies where I know all the references, right? Just because they're so ubiquitous across our culture, but I never actually saw the movie. So I was excited to sit down and finally watch it last night.
Real quick, I want to talk about that giveaway I'm doing one more time. If you buy something from MUGSY.com and you use code Chicago to get your 10% off, I will be buying one random stoolie, one random listener, an item from MUGSY, okay?
How do you like that?
It's
a pretty nice gesture.
Yeah. I mean, hey, I love MUGSY. I mean, we all love MUGSY after.
Well, you're a man of the people, and these are the people's jeans.
Yeah, it is. It is. They fit everyone in the office great. Mm-hmm. And you should definitely go check them out because they make the most comfortable jeans, chinos, and joggers ever. They're made from a buttery, soft, patented stretch material that looks stylish, but they're insanely comfortable. They're never too baggy. They're never too tight. And we all could confirm that. They got these jean shorts that were great. They got the regular shorts that are awesome. Mm-hmm. I love they got the Damon pairs, the gray ones that I drafted last week, and everything that they do is just awesome. They just dropped the Cool Max denim. It's like an air conditioner on your legs, which is important, especially when it's summertime, especially in Barstool Chicago's office. It's so hot in here right now.
Big time.
So listen, all you have to do is head to MUGSY.com and get 10% off now using code Chicago. And when you do that, send me a screenshot. You must use code Chicago in the screenshot. Send me an email, eddie@barstoolsports.com, or a DM, whatever. And I will buy one random person. I'm going to put all the names in a random wheel, how they do in the Yak. And I'm going to pick one person. I already did it last week with Roback. I gave Trevor from Alabama. He got a free pair of joggers from Roback. So we're going to do the same thing with MUGSY. So
I'm getting the olive chinos because that's going to be my Indiana Jones look.
Beautiful.
Yep.
Beautiful. So premium jeans, chinos, swimwear, and shorts on the planet. MUGSY also offers free shipping and returns, so there's absolutely no risk giving them a spin. If you're in Austin or Texas, if you're in Chicago or Austin, Texas, make sure to head downtown and check out their storefront as well. Easy vibes every time. Enjoy a beer as you shop. If you're in Boston or D.C., keep an eye out for a MUGSY store coming in June 2023. Okay. Yeah, what were a few things that you already knew when you see it? A couple things stick out to me. Obviously, the last scene of the guy, the melting.
The melting face.
That's like something that you've always you've seen, even if you've never seen the full movie. And I remember it was a big deal of the scene when there's about to be a showdown with Indy and one of the guys in that village, and he just pulls out a gun and shoots him.
Yeah, the guy with the sword, the Alibaba sword. Yeah.
Then I feel like everybody knows the running from the boulder. That's pretty prevalent.
The opening scene is what stuck. That's what I remembered, fully. Yeah.
Can I be honest with you? This is my one of my big takeaways. I think I like the opening scene, the best part of the movie.
Oh.
Wow.
I mean, it's a great opening scene.
Yeah,
it's a great opening scene, but
really
it's just I have a what? Okay, keep.
Yeah.
I don't know how much I should say. I don't want to do point counterpoint against all three of you guys all the time, but
I don't mind that. I think that's good to hear.
It does set the tone for the whole movie, and you're kind of what's going on. It kind of foreshadows the rivalry with Belloc and just the line of work that he does and the things that he can do, and it really, I don't know. I feel like it sets the tone for the whole series right off the jump.
It does, but in my opinion, it's also kind of the best action in the whole part. I feel like you've seen a car scene like that. I feel like you've seen.
Ed sounds like he doesn't like the movie.
No, that's not. I'm literally telling you just what my favorite part was. I could
yeah,
tell you.
That car scene later in the movie is pretty intense. I think that was pretty good. You got to give it its due. Two thoughts I had in the beginning opening scene. Number one was, okay, we're 10 minutes in, and I get why this is an all-time classic. I was like, from the jump, I was hooked. And then number two, I thought, oh, that's the creepy drug dealer from Boogie Nights that is at the end of the movie where they go over and they try to sell him the drugs, and he chases them out of his house and shoots up Mark Wahlberg's Ferrari or Corvette. Do you guys know who I'm talking about?
I've seen Boogie Nights, but I've
seen it once.
It was in 2003. Okay. So
never mind. That's a reference just for me then.
I'm sure people listening will know it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess we could kind of start with that. But you're right though. It is a perfect tone setter. Like I was like, this is fucking sick. And
I was hooked right away.
I disagree that it was. Well, it's not my favorite action
part of the movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
That scene where we got the plane going around and she's trapped in the plane and he's fighting like the big German guy. And it's like a great like fist fight, gunshots, like the explosion is coming, the gasoline is coming, and it's like he has to fight off this guy, rescue her, get out of there before the plane explodes. To me, I don't know. Like I love that scene, and like just when you think he's beat, the guy gets propellered in the face. If you said like, oh, I've seen a car chase before. I think that's the first and only propeller to the face fight ending in a movie that I've ever seen. And
that's true.
I gotta say, I love a propeller to the face. That is an awesome action death, and I loved that scene.
It was a great scene, and also take it into account. This is 42 years ago. So
that's part of the charm of it for me. If I would have seen this movie when I was 5-7 years old, well, I did, but if I would have I feel like I'm really surprised it's not an all-time favorite for me. Because it seems like one of those movies to me that I'll pick it up when I'm really young. Came out in 81, and just one of those movies I'll have on the VHS on repeat.
Well, to me, and it's like it right in my wheelhouse too, because I love the action. I think everybody loves the action. I'm a history nerd, so you have like that. It's like a period piece where you have the stuff where they're fighting the Nazis.
I did not have any clue that it was anything about Nazis.
Yeah, so they're fighting. He's fighting off the Nazis, and then the third element of it is like if you grew up like you did, although you failed religion class as we've noted before, but it's like it has the element of like the mystical and the religious with what they're actually searching for.
Yeah,
right.
This artifact that no one it at one point was a real thing, and it literally is still lost to this day. That it like to me it touches all the bases that kind of like make me tick and be interested. It touches them all for me. So I bet you I loved it from start to finish.
Some way, somehow, kind of, sort of based on a true story. I bet Nazis were actually hunting for
history. I think that they weave in.
That's what I'm saying. Like he was looking for the super weapons and everything, and I'm sure he was looking for fucking religious things that can make his army invincible.
Hitler was definitely obsessed with the occult. I'm blanking on the name of like he had like a spearhead that he got. The spear of destiny was something that he was like obsessed with. So he definitely this was in his wheelhouse. So I don't think it's like based on a true story,
but like
directionally,
very loosely,
it's like something
that they would have done.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
I actually had a thought while I was watching. I'm kind of surprised growing up, having gone to Catholic school, that this was never a movie that was shown wheeled in when we had a substitute teacher. I feel like it would be accepted to show this, just given the religious elements that they pull from.
What's it rated even? It's not an R-rated movie. Like
probably 13, right?
It's probably 13.
Just
blood.
Yeah, no nudity or anything. Though, and I don't really remember any language issues either.
No sex.
And one thing I'll say about going back to the fact that it was from 42 years ago, I think all of us really enjoy movies. So I go back and I can watch a movie from 1981 and still appreciate what it is. I remember I tried to show my wife Back to the Future like recently, and when you have never seen a movie from that time period, like mid 80s or earlier, I think you judge it a little too harshly because you're like, well, this kind of stinks. The sound effects are off and the special effects are kind of like very apparent. But given that that's what they had to work with at that time, I could see how if you watch this for the first time, you're like, I don't really get it. I liked it just because I took it for what it is, and I appreciate that it's a classic. But it definitely stands out that it's from 1981.
See, like, that's interesting to me, and I get that point of view. To me, it's almost like more impressive because if you made that movie today, and they are, and I think this is like, we're going to do some other Indiana Jones episodes, I think, in the next couple of weeks for Tuesday episodes, but they're coming out with number 5 at the end of June.
Is that with Harrison Ford?
Yeah.
Yep.
He's in it. Yep. And if you mess up an explosion scene, well, it's all computer graphics anyway, so just tweak it and do it again. How many times do you have a chance to blow up a car, blow up a tank, blow up have an airplane from the 40s or the 30s explode? Like, those things, like, you had to nail, and they did. And it was like, to me, it's like it's
well
like,
said.
You're right. Like, it probably looks cooler now, but the work and, like, there's like a level of authenticity to it because those things were actually exploding.
Yeah, absolutely. You appreciate that level of detail and hard work too. Like, I was reading how the car chase scene at the end, they just shot that for like 6 days or something. They shot it for a bunch of hours and then just clipped it together because they just had to do it manually, for lack of a better explanation. And I thought that was impressive. Like, you think about that and then you fast forward to these days, and it's basically like, I've seen that scene in a Fast and Furious movie, and it's obviously different.
It's all
but
green
in
screen.
The Raiders, it was still very, very good, I thought.
Yeah, it was the highest grossing movie in 1981. And also, like, we've watched Taxi Driver. We've done that on this show, a month or so ago. And for it, like, to be on such another level where it's Indiana Jones. It's a fucking... Yeah. It was a trilogy, then it become 4 movies. It's going to become 5 movies at the end of the month. That's the magnitude of what this film did is and they had planned for a trilogy out of the gate. So they knew what it was going to be. But granted, you don't know it's going to be this big. It's become like kind of 1B with Star Wars, which is like, how did he even...
Dude.
They probably never imagined that would have happened.
Has he ever won, Harrison Ford ever won an Oscar?
He has to have. He's been around. Yeah, because he was in
he
Star
did
Wars.
Star Wars. But like, I don't think those movies ever like do... but he did all the, like, the Jack Ryan movies, like Clear and Present Danger in the 90s, The Fugitive. Like, he has done, if you put up like his IMDb of like rewatchable movies, he's the GOAT. Like, he is the absolute, between Indiana Jones, Star Wars, Clear and Present Danger, Air Force One. Like, the list just goes on and on. Like, he is a titan of his time.
And let me tell you, he is amazing in this.
He's fantastic.
I don't know how many, like, you might know, obviously, because you're the biggest fan of this. How many of his own stunts did he do and whatnot?
That I don't know. That's a good question. Yeah,
but
I don't think he's ever won.
Dude, Indiana Jones is the most in shape man in the country.
I would say that he's like the ideal male form. Like, he's just like a rugged guy who's also like super smart. Like, Indiana Jones he's the fucking guy.
Yeah,
and he's cool.
It's pretty impressive too, because back in 1981, they weren't too focused on health and fitness and eating right.
Yeah.
They were just boozing and eating what was ever in front of them. But to your answer, no Academy Awards. He got nominated one time. That was it.
Yeah, just
that's a shame.
It is.
That's a fucking shame.
He should get one of those like Lifetime Achievement Awards something like that, because he is. He is truly like...
He's Harrison Ford.
He's Harrison Ford. He's like almost like for people our age, he's like a Rushmore guy almost. Like, if you think of like just everything that he's done, and it's like him and Tom Hanks, and I would probably struggle to come up with people from that same like age group. And he's older. I think he's 80 now.
He is.
Yeah, he's 82.
Yeah. So like Cons, like you and I are older than these guys. When he's Indiana Jones, he's like our age. Like...
he was like 39, I think. I looked. I think he was like 39 or 40 when he did it, which is nuts.
He's 80 on the button right now.
Right.
He turns 81 July 13th.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and also, you bring up the Nazi thing, what I didn't know either. Once I saw it, at the beginning, I was like, oh, I forgot he's a doctor too. That didn't really.
It's
occur
like
to me.
Well,
Peter
he's like a
Parker, kinda.
PhD in
Yeah.
archaeology. So he's not like a doctor, but yeah.
Yeah, but I was reading like his role.
Dr. Jones.
His role. Yeah, that's the only thing that
Yeah.
came to mind. Dr. Jones
Yeah.
is the second one.
Yeah.
I knew that.
Yeah.
But I was reading he attacked the role of more of a doctor rather than like an action guy.
Yeah.
Like that was his perspective on. That was his interpretation of the character.
I like that, but he also like they've made him like the heartthrob too, where they show it's like the second scene of the movie where he's teaching in class like X never whatever about archaeology, and the girl like closes her eyes and she has like in makeup written like I love you on her eyelids, and it's just like this guy, and then the people are hounding him at his office. He sneaks out the window like he's a badass. He's a badass.
I mean, he's a handsome fella.
He is.
Get it.
I don't know if I ever noticed
get
that in his movies that he from later in his career, but he is so fucking handsome.
He is. He really is.
So
He
fucking
is.
handsome. He's like so handsome.
And he's just like he's cool. Like you mentioned the scene where he's like fighting the guy is like doing all the sword tricks. He just like it was like the most nonchalant get the fuck out of here, you're dead kill shot ever.
He's just like, oh, I'm bringing a whip to a sword fight.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Actually, this is how it goes. You brought a sword to a gunfight.
Yeah.
You're dead.
So do you know why that was done that way?
I've been told before, but I forgot, so you could say it.
Yeah, so I guess like they battled. They were filming in Tunisia, and they were battling a lot of sickness from eating the local foods. And he had terrible food poisoning at the time, and they had done take after take after take, and he was getting really tired. So finally, he went to Spielberg. He's like, "What if I just shoot the sucker instead of doing like a full out fight?" And that's how it came to be. That's now an iconic scene.
Yeah.
In movie history, and that was all just kind of ad-libbed by Harrison Ford because he was sick and he wanted to get back off. The
I wonder if the guy was like, like he has this, he's trained for like weeks to do this intricate fight scene, and then he does like 5 seconds of sword moves and just gets blasted. But like the whip is cool, the jacket's cool, the hat's cool, like everything about the guy. He might be like to me the coolest
was it
movie
that
character
like
ever.
proposition? Was that the CIA or the something?
Well, I think it was like the OSS because the CIA didn't exist then.
Oh, in the
it's
30s, of course, it came
was
afterwards, right?
They're like a precursor to.
Okay, because the guys that like propositioned him, and then he went to, and he's like, "Hey, yeah, we're going to find the Ark of the Covenant," and he's like, "Are you fucking kidding me? Everybody does this, dies. There's a reason it's been hidden for 3,000 years." He's like, "Oh, come on, like get your ass up, let's go." When have we ever gotten hurt? Just so nonchalant. He like gives him one of those like passive aggressive back
in the
taps.
line. He's like, I'm a cautious fellow, and he like throws his gun into the suitcase.
Yeah, I just thought it was interesting too, and maybe because he's from a different generation, but that fact that a archaeologist, I can't even say the word archaeologist, excuse me, he'd be proficient with whip, proficient with a revolver. It was just interesting that he would have all these additional skills whilst also, searching for lost artifacts.
So are you guys interested in watching the third one? Would you go back and watch?
I'm watching.
I want to watch
all of them.
So
I would watch them now.
the stuff with like the opening scene of this one where he's in the Amazon or wherever, South America, the opening scene of the third one is kind of like his, he's like a teenager, and it's like his origin story, and they go into like the whip, and they go into his hat, and they go into all these different, like even how he gets his scar. Like it's like a very cool opening action scene in a similar, like way different setting, all that kind of stuff, but like it like has all these little little nuggets of like how he became who he is, but it's all in a long action scene the way that first one opened up.
No shit.
That's cool. I also noticed when he's running from the natives, I don't know if this was done on purpose, but do you remember in Ace Ventura 2 at the end when Ace is running away from the natives? That was kind of like a callback to that scene with the way it was shot, the cinematography of it. So just certain things like that, talking about like what do we notice in pop culture and other references made. I think there's probably a lot of movies and shows that have made callbacks to this movie.
Yeah, and even like as a kid, you go back to me never seeing it front to back, but the opening scene when he gets right under that door, it's like as a kid going through the garage door.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
My brother got
did that.
stuck in the garage doing that. My dad kept fucking up the sensors. He couldn't get them to like be level, and my brother got pinned under the garage door. He had a little thin scar across his back for like a month.
This scar that is right in the front of my top of my head when I was a kid, I was going out we would play like street hockey in the cul-de-sac in the neighborhood all the time. And I would do the Indiana Jones where I would like have my hockey stick and close the garage and slide under to like leave. So, because my dad didn't want me to leave the garage open. So I would slide under. And one time I clipped my head as the garage door was going down. And I just like kind of like, I don't remember like waking up in like a pool of blood behind my head with my dad and his dad, my grandpa, like standing over me. So I got like KO'd trying to do the Indiana
Kids these
Jones.
days will never know because now they have the sensors that
like
send the door back up if you try to go under it when it's closing.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. Also, we do have to touch on Marion, who is just the fucking most hard badass chick in the world.
I love her.
Like, I was watching it too, and I was like, White Sox Dave loves this woman.
Oh, she's the best.
She's awesome.
She's awesome.
I'm your goddamn partner. Yeah.
When she's introduced, just playing the game that is essentially just shot for shot with that big dude.
yeah. With the,
I just picture Dave doing that game at a bar, like walking up to the
she like
you
faked
want to go
it
shot
too.
for shot?
She's like, no.
Yeah, she rope-a-doped him.
That's one thing I wish. Well, I don't know if it was just like my TV or something, but they didn't have subtitles. I didn't know what they were saying.
Oh no, that was fine. They don't go into what they're saying
intentionally.
And when you put the subtitles on, it'll say like speaking in a foreign language.
Oh, okay.
So you didn't miss anything.
Also, I want to touch on in my notes here. Basically, well, there was like two main villains.
Oh,
but the one
scary.
villain, he's basically the Willy Wonka guy too.
Yes,
he looks.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, he looks exactly
Sirac
like
or
him.
whatever.
No,
I'm
you're
bad
talking
on their names.
The
Bella?
guy who got burned by the medallion.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's
that
like
guy.
the scariest. Like that. So that this movie was set, I think, in like 36, right?
I think that's what it said.
Yep.
I looked
Something
it
like
up.
that?
Yeah.
You know that like that guy was running Auschwitz in like 8 years. If he didn't have his face melted off, that was that guy. He was an evil guy, and that and like his whole thing too, where like they're looking for the room of souls, right? Where they have, and that was like a little thing where they're like, how did they have the staff? How do they have all the details? They're digging in the well of souls. Well, it's like he had the medallion because they didn't have that burned into his hand.
Yep.
So but they didn't have the flip side, and that was like why they were able to dig in that other area. It was something. It was one of those things that I, as a kid, like I missed.
Totally missed that reference. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, something I also probably would have absolutely missed if I watched this when I was like 8. Talking about Marion, and she drops the line about how basically you took advantage of me when I was a kid. And it essentially insinuates that Indiana Jones and her did something when she was underage. Did you guys catch that?
I didn't take it that way. I think you're an honorable guy. Yeah. But I think it was like I took that as she was like 18, like young, and he was much older, and she was in love, and he's like, hey, like
he broke her heart. Okay.
I'm going after this monkey head. Like, see you later.
All right, I like that version better because it makes me feel better about it. Okay, I don't hate him now.
I'll give one con, and you guys jump in if I miss something or whatever. But it was kind of hard to follow. Obviously, you knew they were not with the Nazis, but as far as when they went to Nepal and then they go to Indonesia, then like I didn't. Then
Indonesia.
What was the other place they went to?
Well, they're Egypt.
Egypt. Sorry, they went to Cairo.
Okay.
My apologies. So they go to Nepal, then Cairo. I didn't know who was on their side when it came to like the locals.
Yeah.
That was a little like, I was like, wait a minute. So he's going to fight this guy, the classic scene who shoots. Then the other ones were helping him. That was a little, and a little like spotty for me.
Sala, like the main digger, he was just like, he's like hired help. Like he was hired by the Nazis, but so, and that was also a time where like people were suspicious of the Nazis, okay,
but they weren't.
But like the Nazis sold out Madison Square Garden at around the same time for
that's
a rally.
true.
So like Nazism was like an ideology that was
it was just extreme nationalism.
Yeah, well, kind of, but this is you come in after World War I. Everybody's in the Depression, so that's when communism was kind of taken off, and all these different things that hadn't been like trialed before. So, and everyone wants a scapegoat, and they made it the Jews, and that was appealing to a lot of people, and that was like a movement that was taking hold kind of everywhere, and they hadn't done a lot of their conquest of Europe and the concentration. Like none of that stuff has really
This set
happened
in
yet.
36.
Yeah.
They didn't
They
raid Poland until 38.
Right, and they hosted the Olympics in 36.
That's
like,
true. Yeah,
it's like,
with,
was
it Jesse?
I think Hitler
Jesse
was
Owens.
like Time Magazine Man of the Year. I'm almost positive that Hitler was Time Magazine Man of the Year at some point in the 30s.
Wow, I didn't know that. Speaking of Time Magazine, you guys definitely
in 38 he was, yeah.
The Time Magazine that I forget who was reading it on the plane. On the cover of the Time Magazine was a West Point cadet.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
A little one of these like little things that's like kind of insignificant to the movie, but I always loved was when they show like his traveling. And it's like his planes just didn't go very far. So we went from San Francisco to Hawaii, Hawaii to Guam, Guam to
Nepal,
Indochina, and like the old maps, and then up to Nepal, and like they always just do like the little like line,
little overlay,
little puddle jumping.
I noticed that as well. I thought that was a nice little feature.
I always loved
that I really liked. And speaking of the Nazis. Credit Spielberg. He's like, give me an opportunity to just kill more Nazis, albeit in a movie. I'm taking advantage of that. I like that.
Yeah, they're a great villain. They're a great villain. The ultimate villain.
They're probably the best villain of all time.
That's and I haven't seen 4 all the way through because I hate Shia LaBeouf. But then that one,
he's in it.
Yeah,
he's a good actor.
Yeah,
I hate Shia LaBeouf.
He's actually not a bad actor. He's just a douche.
Are you calling him Shia on purpose?
Yeah, he is.
Shia. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't like that guy, and it bothered me that he was in it because I've hated him like forever. And but in that one, it's like they're going against the Soviets, and the Soviets obviously evil, but there is just something about the Nazis that hits a little different.
So is my con valid there?
Say it again. Sorry.
About being
who was who?
Yeah, like I had trouble with that where it's like, oh wait, so he wants to fight that guy, and then these guys are his friends. So that was when it came to locals, I was a little.
I think
that's like a chaotic third world kind of country environment too, where it's like the Nazis were there, they were established. I'm sure the Nazis were a boom to their economy, so they had people on their side in the community. And then Indy had like when he was going to get shot in that bar, he was rescued basically just by Salah's kids. Like he didn't really have like a ton of allies in that region it was just basically Salah and Salah's people. Mm-hmm. So.
Besides that, I'm trying to think if there was anything else that
the theme song.
Oh,
great!
It's
obviously great,
iconic.
Yeah,
it's the best. It's like a primitive version of Jurassic Park, which would make sense 12 years after.
He's done them all. He's done Star Wars. He's done Jurassic Park. He did Indiana Jones. Like his, I had it up. Let me pull it up again.
His catalog is so impressive.
I never even took a second out of my life to think about that.
Jaws.
Yeah,
Jaws. Like,
wow.
John Williams, his hit list
Murderers Row. Murderers Row.
He did Home Alone.
I mean,
wow, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, these are tunes that and you automatically think of everything.
Whether
like that's another thing. Like I knew that music without ever having watched it all the way through. Ever having watched the movie, I knew that theme.
Yep.
Schindler's List, Jaws, Harry Potter, E.T., Superman, obviously the ones. Yeah.
Speaking of my last fun fact, during downtime on this movie, Spielberg was toying around with another script that he thought might be a good movie to make one day, and that happened to be E.T. So he wrote E.T. while he was on this set.
That is a good fun fact.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And then you probably knew this as well. Like weeks before, days before, they thought Tom Selleck was supposed to be Indiana Jones.
Yeah, I knew that.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't let him out of his Magnum PI deal.
Right. I do, and I love Harrison Ford. He's perfect for it. This is one of those. It's not like the Back to the Future story where it's like you can't even picture it. I feel like Tom Selleck would have been a good Indiana Jones.
Yeah, he could have been.
Absolutely.
I think he's got that rugged look, the mustache and everything.
But
agree.
Who
Harrison
was supposed
Ford's
to be
better for it, but
in Back to the Future?
They filmed with what's his face for 6 weeks.
Nick Nolte?
Yeah, no, not Nick Nolte.
No.
What's his name?
Eric
Stoltz.
Eric Stoltz. Sorry.
Eric Stoltz. Yeah, they filmed 6 weeks worth of scenes. And then they went back and they scrapped it. They're like, nah, it's not working. And then that's when Fox.
Yep.
By the way, that's a good documentary to watch on Apple TV about Michael J. Fox if you are a fan of his.
I feel like I've seen it, but I feel like it's going to be sad. So I don't want to watch it.
Yeah, it is a little bit of a bummer because he was shooting. His trajectory was unbelievable. And then it just all came crashing down, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was I enjoyed it.
I'm glad you guys liked it.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. And
Yeah.
like what Khan said, I know that if I wasn't so young, if I was like 10 when I watched it, it would have been an all-time favorite for me. I know that.
Me
it would
too.
have been one of those on-repeat movies
Yeah.
on the VCR.
Yeah, because I would have watched all the other ones too.
Right.
So I don't, for whatever reason, it just escaped me growing up.
And-
But now I definitely want to watch the others.
And 2 isn't bad. Like 2 is very entertaining too. But I think it's pretty well accepted that 1 and 3 are the best.
Oh, is 2 the one where he rips out the heart?
Yeah, Kalima.
Okay.
Kalima.
All right. See, like to me, like that
Yeah.
is what I'd probably be the one I'm most excited for.
I mean, it's good. It's just like there's no like there's maybe there's no Nazis. That movie needed Nazis.
And I love Data.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's great. So
Yeah.
here's what I'll say about that one. The opening like action scene in that one is so over the top and cheesy that it like you're like, ugh, like really?
Everything
and then like
about the first one was too. Though.
no, this is at a different level.
Yeah.
This is at a different like the first one is like the booby traps, and it's like you're in this like mystical place, you're looking for some, like he's in this far off land. The other one, like I won't even try to explain it. It's just like it's
real world.
It's and like the stunts in Indiana Jones, right? Like they are, you could think of like, hey, we got this ancient booby trap that's gonna roll,
It's
like these things,
plausible.
trip wires and whatever. You're not.
That dip spit.
Dave would have a hard time getting through the booby traps.
That's not true.
You knocked your own dip spit on you.
I wouldn't even think about it. You just don't act, you do. And I did want to bring this up to Kanz's point about pop culture references that were born because of this movie and this series, Legends of the Hidden Temple. Like that's all I could think
show.
of. I'm like, the TV show. I'm like, this is based on Indiana Jones, wasn't it?
And one final thing we forgot to mention, and of course, another good villain is the fucking government.
Oh
Just
yeah.
put in that damn box in that warehouse.
And Nicolas Cage movies.
Yeah.
Kinda, sorta.
We've got top men on it.
What
Who?
fucking movie?
Top men.
Yeah, it's in a fucking warehouse,
Dude, and like, but when they show that, you're like, it might just be in a fucking warehouse. Like,
It very well might
because
be.
there's theories that it's in this place in Ethiopia. There's these different like myths about what happened to the Ark of the Covenant, and like the Ark of the Covenant is described to detail to look how it looked in the movie in the Bible. Like they didn't just like this would be a cool Ark of the Covenant. Like it is specced out like to like where the poles go, like how high it is. All that stuff is in the Bible. So that's what they made it look like. It was drawn from that, created from that. But no one knows where it is. So like you were saying at the beginning, like, oh, maybe some of it's based on truth. That part, you never know. Like it might just be something that they found and like fucking put it in, a vault somewhere because we can't deal with this.
Yeah. All right, let's do the scores and then we'll get out of here. So this got a 96 audience score right now. On Rotten Tomatoes, Cons, is that too high, too low, or just right?
Just right. Especially given its place in history. I think it's just right.
Chief?
Low.
Low.
I love Indiana Jones.
So it's 100 for you probably.
Yeah, it's like a top movie for me of all time. Yeah.
Dave?
Yeah, I'd say just right.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Just because of its significance
It's
alone.
its significance.
It's a perfect movie
Yeah.
though.
The bad news is
Yeah.
number 5
Excellent.
is getting smoked right now. So
I've heard that.
Ooh, yeah.
I was talking. I got a couple of buddies who I went to the Cubs game with last week. They love Indiana Jones too. We're thinking about like dressing up and like getting hats and jackets and the slacks and going to opening night.
That's extra level weird.
But
That's
it's gonna
like,
be, it'll
have
be
you ever
fun
been-
though. Imagine like rolling out to the bars beforehand to go.
Yeah.
Cons is out.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think I think I'm gonna do that. I think I'm gonna get all dressed up like Indiana Jones and just run around Chicago for a day and then go to the movie.
Have fun, Chief.
Yeah.
Don't,
You guys are
don't-
invited. You wanna
don't let
come?
Everybody tell you the opposite.
You want to come?
Yeah, let me get through the trilogy first. And
Okay.
I'll see
All
where
right.
we land. I mean, I'm definitely going to see it in theaters, but it's
You just don't want to go with like 5 Indiana Joneses?
yeah, that's where I'm like a little iffy on. If you come, if you dress up as Freddy
What's the fourth
Krueger,
one called?
You could come Crystal Skull.
Yeah. That's Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah. All right then. We could wrap it here. Thank you everybody for listening. Thank you for watching.
Horrible
That's
scores.
it for today. We will be back on Monday. We will see you then.